If you're anything like me, your body lives in a small apartment in the city, but a big chunk of your soul dwells in a cottage in a dark enchanted wood. Even though, admittedly, I am an indoorsy city girl, there is something in me that yearns for an escape. Just run away to a cottage in the woods with my cat and live the life of a childless bog witch. And this is why today I want to talk about dark cottagecore. It's one of those styles that feels like an antidote to the beige blandness of the world and perfectly embodies the dark fantasy escape I've been yearning for. And it's been over a year since I last talked about dark cottagecore, so I figured it was about time to revisit this style because it's like medicine for my weary soul. So in this video, I'm going to give you a bunch of dark cottagecore decor ideas. And instead of showing you how some of them can come together in a living room design like I did with my last dark cottagecore video, I'm going to do a bedroom design this time. So let's just escape together in the dark fairy tale of this style. I feel the need to just spread the dark, moody decor gospel because making this studio into my own little dark cocoon has made this apartment just feel like home already. And you know, amidst the chaos of moving into and decorating this new space, I found that journaling has been super helpful in keeping my thoughts together and really tapping into what my personal style is right now. And recently, I actually took a really great class that helped me get back into the basics of journaling called Journal Writing 101: Transcend the Everyday by Katie Delbout on Craftsy, which is the sponsor of today's video. Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative, with classes on knitting, sewing, baking, decorating, and more. And I've also started taking a class called Learn Intarsia Crochet, a creative approach to color work by Brenda KB Anderson, which, as someone who has never crocheted or done anything like it before, I honestly feel like this is something I could tackle as I'm watching these videos. Craftsy classes just have a way of making things that usually intimidate me feel more approachable. There are just so many educational videos on Craftsy that are perfect for home decor enthusiasts, DIY project lovers, and anyone who wants to learn a new creative hobby that'll just add more joy to your daily life. So go to the link in my description or scan this QR code and get the first year of Craftsy Premium for just $1.49. Offer valid for new members only. And thank you to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. And if you're new here, my name is Steffi and this is Hilo, and on this channel I talk about small apartment styling, cozy living, some of the more niche alternative fantasy styles, and the joys of living alone. So if you're into that, consider subscribing and giving this video a like. So usually at this point in the video, when I'm doing one of my style deep dives, I get into defining the style. So like, what is dark cottagecore? But since I already did that in my dark cottagecore living room video over a year ago, this time I want to come at it from the angle of why dark cottagecore? I mean, to sum it up real quick, in case you haven't seen this video of mine, dark cottagecore takes the romanticized, bucolic, nature-driven aesthetic of cottagecore and gives it more of a gothy, witchy twist. Cottagegoth is another term for it. Think enchanted witch's cottage. So that's basically what it is, but why dark cottagecore? Why is dark cottagecore especially worth exploring right now? For one thing, it's comfy, it's cozy, it's an escape, which is something we all really need right now in these tumultuous times. But It's also a style that's a bit off the beaten path. And I personally think that alternative styles like this are especially crucial right now. That's part of why I've leaned so heavily into covering them on my channel. In a world that seems to be rapidly descending into a beige hellscape full of safe, boring style trends and an apparent fear of individuality, I'm craving a kind of rebellion. When I go shopping, I don't want to be bored anymore. I didn't used to be this bored by the styles that were out there. There's just something about this current climate that has created this insidious blandness that has just permeated everything. I want darkness. I want strangeness. I want to grab the cultural zeitgeist by the shoulders and just give it a good shake. Painting the walls and ceiling of my new studio apartment a dark color wasn't just an aesthetic choice for me, it was a battle cry. Dark cottagecore and just dark decor styles in general is just where my head has been lately. Plus, I'm like knee deep in the book Slewfoot right now, which is about a widowed witchy woman in the 1600s who teams up with a dark forest spirit against the psycho-Puritans in the nearby village. So that might have something to do with my state of mind as well. So with that, let's get into this year's Dark Cottagecore Decor Finds Bedroom Edition, starting with bed stuff. And as you can see, we have a mix of materials and fabrics that drive home the rustic, natural elements of cottagecore, as well as the dark, witchy side of this style. Take these bedding options. We have a couple floral patterns that evoke nature, which is of course a fundamental aspect of this style. Like, imagine living in a cottage in the middle of a spooky forest, and you have a wild, overgrown garden and vines crawling up your garden walls, untamed yet exactly where they belong. That's the vibe we're tapping into here. So you can really go wild with floral patterns, especially if they're set against a dark background like these. So you're getting the nature side as well as the dark mood. Then we have a couple simpler options, which when it comes to bedding can be a good idea if you want more freedom to play with patterns throughout the space in other ways. So a duvet cover like this with just a solid dark color can be a great way to set the stage for other accessories to shine. But it also has some visual interest with the lace, which in the context of dark cottagecore makes me think of little spider webs, like your little spider helpers in your cottage helped you weave this bedding together. And now I've gone and terrified myself with this line of thought because I'm so scared of spiders. But you know, for the sake of the theme, this scary little fantasy works. There's also this nice and wholesome imaginary spider-free option, which is more of a classic cottage style with its gingham pattern. Let's not forget the cottage side of dark cottagecore. It's not all dark and edgy. That's one of the beautiful things about this style, is this duality between dark fantasy and wholesome rustic cottage life. And incorporating a simple gingham bedspread surrounded by the darker style elements would be a great way to convey that duality. Now let's get into some throw pillows, all of which are very nature driven. We have a bunny, we have a frog, we have a raven. Cottagecore of any kind is a fun opportunity to incorporate little woodland creatures and critters throughout a room. So if you're shopping for this style, think about your favorite animals and how you can find ways to include them in your decor, because this is the style for it. Then in addition to the cute creatures, we have the kind of nature that grows from the ground, a flower pattern and a mushroom design. Like I said earlier, you can really go wild with florals, especially ones like this that have a vintage, even kind of grandma vibe about them. That's definitely the cottagecore side. Grandma-esque patterns are perfect for conveying the wholesome cottage side of things. And when it comes to mushroom designs, I said this in my other dark cottagecore video, the mushroom is a quintessential cottagecore visual motif. It really is the symbol for this aesthetic. So these were just a few throw pillow options, just a little sampling, but I could have given you like 100 and basically ended up with a feature-length film of a YouTube video here, just on throw pillows. But I resisted. Seriously, just type in cottage pillow into Etsy and you'll see what I mean. There are just so many cute, stylish pillows out there that would be perfect for dark cottagecore. Just browse a bit and find the ones that are right for you. Then we have some headboards, which kind of mirror my bedding selections in that we have a couple simpler rustic options and then a couple floral options. And what I love about these floral headboards, well, on top of the fact that I pretty much love floral anything, is don't you get a little bit of a Hansel and Gretel vibe here? That kind of German-style Grimm's Fairytale look. I don't know, I just feel like if we're styling a room that evokes a witch's cottage in the forest, Hansel and Gretel vibes are appropriate. If we're going for a dark fairy tale aesthetic, it doesn't hurt to visually conjure up actual fairy tales. And these two headboards do that for me. But if you want to go the simpler route, we have these two headboard options. They still make strong statements, just with less embellishment. And they're more along the wholesome country cottage route, which again, the push and pull between dark witchiness and wholesome cottageness is what makes this style visually interesting. If you really want to capture the spirit of dark cottagecore in your bedroom, really focus on conveying that dance. Now let's get into some decorative accents and wall decor, starting with the obligatory mushroom visuals. I mean, I guess you're not strictly obligated to include mushrooms in your cottagecore decor, dark or otherwise, but they just do so much to communicate this style. And I think it's for a few symbolic reasons. They conjure images of foraging in the wilderness and communing with the earth. They represent interconnectedness and community because of their freaky underground network they all have with each other, like some fungi internet thing going on. And they're also an image that features prominently in fairy tales. So they bring an instant sense of whimsy. Mushrooms just do a lot of heavy lifting in terms of the themes of cottagecore, and incorporating them through wall art and sculptures like these is a lovely way to do it. Same with animals and critters, as I spoke about earlier. Here are some wall art options that would add so much animal-loving coziness to a room. I mean, look at this precious kitty wearing a mushroom as a hat. How does it get any better than that? This is high art. And then this piece would bring a more groovy 70s cottage vibe, which I'm always a fan of. Plus, I love these colors. I'm gonna ignore the fact that these are dragonflies. I'm scared of dragonflies too, as I am with all insects. But I'm putting that aside for the sake of the theme. My fears and neuroses don't matter here. And then I love the simplicity of this piece with a woman who seems to be growing from the earth, chatting with her little bunny friend. From a symbolism and storytelling perspective, it doesn't get more cottagecore than this. And definitely check out the rest of this artist's work. I would say all of her pieces are very cottagecore friendly. Moving along, I found some candle and candle holder options, like these earthy moss tea lights. Imagine sprinkling a bunch of these throughout your space. They'd make your room look like it's filled with little moss fairy houses, which is always a good thing. And then a mouse reading a book is peak whimsical cottagecore. This would look so cute on a stack of vintage books, on a coffee table or shelf. And then this candle called Forest Bathing would bring that wild, untamed, witchy energy. According to the Etsy seller, forest bathing, or Shinrin-yoku in Japanese, is the act of taking in the forest atmosphere, i.e. being in nature. And with notes of vetiver and cedarwood, I can't imagine a better candle for the woodsy, nature-driven vibes of dark cottagecore. I mean, Shinrin-yoku is exactly what we're going for here. And finally, I had to throw in a couple wallpaper options. I love both of these for creating that overgrown, untamed garden look I talked about earlier. The wildness of these two patterns, along with the dark color palette, would create such a show-stopping statement in a dark cottagecore room. I mean, the drama would be unstoppable. So those were the dark cottagecore bedroom pieces I found. Now let me show you the bedroom design I created using some of those pieces. See how all of this comes together to create a dark, cozy, whimsical space? It's like what I would imagine the Hansel and Gretel witch's home would look like if she got her shit together and stopped being a weirdo child cannibal freak. Maybe this is like her mentally stable sister's room or something. I don't know. My point is, this marries the cozy, nature-oriented visuals of cottagecore with the witchy fairy tale elements to create a dark cottagecore story in here. Then there's also this more over-the-top maximalist version of my design that incorporates one of the wallpaper patterns I found, paired with a more toned down headboard and rug to keep things from being like crazy busy. Like, yes, this is busy, sure, but it's the maximalist kind of busy. It's the tastefully busy, in my opinion. But I do love the sense of wildness this wallpaper brings. It's very on theme for this look. It's all about creating an escape, a little oasis of dark whimsy that marches to the beat of your drum and celebrates your individuality and refuses to give in to the ever-expanding bland abyss. Even if dark cottagecore isn't a style that you end up doing, I think the main takeaway is its spirit of individuality and rebellion. You know, the independent witch in the woods. Let me know in the comments, do you have any dark cottagecore elements in your space? And like, how do you assert your individuality through your decor? Like, have you noticed the same thing as me, where things just feel so boring right now? I don't know, I just feel like we're in such a bad place right now, a very late stage capitalism, conformity driven dystopia. I'm just feeling very dissatisfied in more ways than one. And dark cottagecore and alternative dark styles like it are just like a balm for my bored soul. If you want some more inspiration and decor ideas that are more along the lines of this fantasy-driven styling, then check out this playlist. It has all of the fantasy aesthetics I've covered so far. So give this a watch next for more inspiration.